Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my light novel reading series. We're moving on to Fate Labyrinth. Now, this was a spin off of Fate Prototype Fragments of Sky Silver, but I was going to originally read it after Volume 4, but just because of how our own retranslation process went, we actually pushed it off to the end because, yes, this is another one that me and Trafalgarlog are, well, he retranslated, and now I am live editing because from what I've looked at the original translation of Fate Labyrinth, it was a little rough. It was also like a decade old. So as such, we're here with updated knowledge, updated everything, and we're going to be reading through it for the first time, making sure that it's all good. And yeah, as far as I'm aware, like this is the last of the Fate Prototype sort of mini-series, aside from the manga, which is coming out officially in English. So, hey, you can go support that, and hopefully Yen Press will pick up some more of the light novels, and I won't have to fund the retranslations myself. As great as that is, that could also go to other things. So, we're going to be reading Fate Labyrinth here. So, it's looking like about the same length as a regular sort of Fragments novel. We have 6 acts, we have an epilogue, we have a monster encyclopedia, and then all the finishing stuff. So, yeah, Phoenix Rising was the original translator of this, and now Trafalgarlog has touched it up. So, let us get started. Well, the first thing that we start with here is we actually have some profiles. So let's take a look here. So, we'll start at the top right. Norma, a magecraft-using explorer girl who travels to remote locations to collect artifacts at the Mages Association's behest. She has glam sight, fairy eyes, okay, which gives her a natural knack for stumbling upon mystery and fantasy. Fairy eyes, we've heard that before. Seijo Manaka, omnipotence in the form of a girl, a Far Eastern magus while fighting as the master of Saber in Fate Prototype Fragments of Sky Silver. Her consciousness ended up possessing Norma's body. Oh, so she herself is not in this? That's interesting. Archer, summoned as an archer-class servant, a man clad in green robes and light armor, a legendary thief from Britain and a hero of rebellion. His true name is Robin Hood. Oh, we're just spoiling them right away, huh? Originally appeared in Fate Extra. Assassin, summoned as assassin class, leader of the Order of Assassins. True name is Hassani Sabah. There have been many with that name, so he's referred to as Hassan of the Cursed Arm from Fate Stay Night. Saber, summoned as a Saber-class servant, the heroic savior of Britain, spoken of in legends as King Arthur. As a woman, her true name is Artoria Pendragon. Get out. Like, listen, I'm very much for we're going to be updating terms to fit modern Fate standards. I'm not saying Altria. You can die. I'm sorry. Summoned as a caster-class servant, a mysterious woman who's, with her face shrouded by a hood, a princess of Colchis known as a betrayer witch. True name is Medea. Well, there's some interesting ones here, because there's like a bunch of them that are just straight from Stay Night, right? Boy, I sure wonder who this mysterious girl is. A girl here to investigate this den of evil, wields a giant scythe, and uses the self-deprecating archaic setsu pronoun. Thank you very much for putting that in there. That's super interesting. Does Norma think that she's another servant? And finally, question marks. Now, I have an idea who this is, but I can't say for sure yet. A man with a graceful, noble bearing, but there's something eerie and enigmatic about him. Those who end up encountering him describe him as a demon in black. Okay, Norma's design there. She has a long orange hair tied back into a ponytail, wears a leather vest over sleeveless shirt, with a lightweight down jacket on top. Is it a jacket if it's just the arms? Gives her a wide range of motion in the legs to move around energetically. Her clothes prioritize functionality. Oh, her glasses are cute, though. Her bag attaches to her vest via buckles. She has a variety of tools, but prefers a medium-sized bag for mobility. And again, question marks. His blonde hair and tall stature are accentuated by his Western-style noble attire that lends him a regal air. He wears a grand Inverness coat and a long leather boots. His imposing appearance gives the impression that he has some unfathomable power. Again, I think I know who this is, but I don't know. I will say, those are some slutty heels, dude. I'm sorry. You can't be wearing those. At least not in a labyrinth. So, here we are. Act 1, Fate Labyrinth. Seijo Manaka had a dream. One day in February 1991 AD, somewhere beneath Tokyo, in a darkness which no eyes could see, in the depths which no hands could touch, it drifted. It slept on and on. It awaited its hour of awakening. The Greater Grail, a vessel which gathered human emotion, guiding something that would come from beyond this world. Strictly speaking, it could be called the counterfeit Holy Grail. Now, the Greater Grail was in the hands of one girl, or rather, cherished and watched over by her, like a small fragile egg that would shatter if dropped. Manaka continued to watch over the Greater Grail, treating it as something to be protected, all for the wish of her beloved. At times she touched it, at others she spoke to it. Sometimes she would close her eyes and weave a melody like a lullaby for it. She was doing so now. And then, one fleeting moment, Manaka's consciousness wavered. The princess of the root did not normally need to rest from physical fatigue, yet she began to experience a pleasant drowsiness. It was impossible. Unless she made a conscious effort of doing so, she was not the person who would ever rest. Let's say, well, ever rest. Or should we say ever need to rest? We'll do that. We'll do who would ever need rest. So this was neither a coincidence nor some sort of miracle. It was only through her clear, deliberate decision that Manaka ever found sleep. Yeah, there we go. It was only through her decision, right? She wouldn't need it, but she could, right? Because by saying she would never rest, but no, she'd never need rest. That's what I was thinking there for clarity. It was, there was only one reason to dream. The thought suddenly came upon her, so she decided to try it, just like an ordinary person would. Her consciousness left her body in an instant, crossing the sea of drowsiness toward a light shining on the horizon. And then, she awoke. Manaka opened her eyes. Her lustrous eyelashes trembled, shining like light. Her translucent eyes shimmered delicately in the darkness. Beyond the horizon where dream met reality, in a world unlike the one her true self belonged to, in a body unlike the one her true self inhabited. Within a labyrinth where phantasmal chimeras and countless deadly traps lurked. And then, they met. A servant rushed to protect her, even as she had seemingly become powerless. Though she had shifted to another world, she still met that destined partner. I ask of you, are you my master? Even though he should have been the same person. Even though he should have been the King of Britain. Indeed, he had appeared in the form of a young woman. Fate Labyrinth. Oh? She tilted her head. The source of her confusion was clear as day. Manaka knew that the woman standing before her was undoubtedly the same King of Knights that she knew. Her bearing, her aura, her azure eyes which had a desire to save her nation, all of it was unmistakably the King of Knights himself. And yet, she was clearly someone else at the same time. Yeah, we're just doing this, but with a very different look. Huh. Firstly, her height. He was tall, normally taller than Manaka, but never this petite. Next, her hair. His hair was the same blonde, but never in such neat braids. Next, her armor. His was generally similar, but the details were all different. And then, the most decisive factor of all, why are you a girl? The question slipped from Manaka's lips. Yes, that was exactly it. Considering that one point, all other differences seemed to vanish. Her beloved had turned into a woman. If it were me, I'd be speechless, unable to think straight. Wait, then whose perspective is this then? I've hardly had anything that would pass for real experience with romance, but I could say this with certainty. I'd be shocked. So shocked that my mind would totally go blank, probably for at least an hour. But Manaka was different. Even if she was surprised, she never misjudged what stood before her. She had faced reality head-on, whether it was her own world or a fleeting dream. Circumstance, perception, organization, comprehension. Manaka and I sat on the floor looking up at her. Manaka and I? Well, because it did say that there was okay, we'll get back to it. But it said here, her consciousness ends up possessing Norma's body. So does that, are we, okay, because I mean, they're going to tell me the answer, but if I'm getting this right, because of course this is again my first time reading, they actually are sharing a consciousness, and is Norma's consciousness then going to be just like chilling? Huh. Okay. Manaka and I sat on the floor, looking up at her. A cold floor, in a passageway built long ago. A stone passageway, a cobblestone floor, a corner of a labyrinth that was renowned in certain circles. It was it was dim, but lit by a faint enough source that it wasn't pitch black. I knew that it was the effect of a mystic torch whose flames strangely would never go out. Naturally, Manaka knew this too. Manaka had already accepted the entire shocking scene laid out before her. I was confused to the point of feeling like I'd faint, but whoop. Okay, again, that is a difference, because Manaka, wait, right? That'd be Manaka there, but Manaka was totally fine. Because I know, there's the whole thing of Manaka and Ayaka could be read the same way, right? Yeah. She touched her snow-white fingertips to something of the same color. Manaka. The princess, clad in bright emerald dress, seemed to have decided to try sorting through her memories. Right. That was what I should be doing too. As her eyelids closed, Manaka's memories unfolded rapidly, bringing her back to this very moment. 1991. One night, on the eve of the Holy Grail War's conclusion, you voluntarily adjusted your brain functions to doze while touching the greater grail that lurked deep beneath Tokyo. You had a dream. Because you're someone who could accomplish anything you set your mind to, you could have any dream you want. But every once in a while, there were dreams that even you couldn't predict, or something similar. That was what you sought, like an ordinary person, like me. The ordinary dream of an ordinary person with nothing in particular to be noted about her. A dream in which you wouldn't know what would happen. Wanting to swim the sea of dreams, mysterious and strange, full of change and surprise. Seijo Manaka, you had the exact sort of dream you wished for. A scene that didn't exist in reality, guiding me for your sake. Beyond the far side of reality where illusions slumber, beyond even the edge of the world, through time, through space, perhaps through something beyond even those, you passed through it all with ease. Yourself and consciousness journeyed, floating through places which would have worn me out in an instant, beyond the aurora, daring to challenge things which shatter human pride without fail. Manaka saw a dragon, a gentle, solitary dragon that had held on to something for a long, long time. What a beautiful dragon, you said. The dragon offered no reply, instead gazing toward the edge of the world. Wait, is this Sieg? Manaka saw a light, the singular thing binding the two sides of the world together, shining at the edge. Oh, okay, what a beautiful light, you said. The light offered no reply, nor did it move from where it sat. Hey, someone spoke. You remember, don't you, Manaka? Just then, a wave rose up from your drowsiness and swept your consciousness elsewhere. Elsewhere, but where? Like the darkness of the cosmos, the ultimate radiance, a vortex at the center of all things, and yet it was also like a small, unfamiliar, one-room apartment, which gave wait, what? Like the darkness of the cosmos, the ultimate radiance, a vortex at the center of all things, a small, unfamiliar one-room apartment which gave no sense that someone lived their life there. Is this implying then her consciousness swept to... Okay, we went from Fate Apocrypha to now we're in Garden of Sinners, right? That won't do. Leave that here. Because I'm assuming then this is going to people with connection to the root, right? So Manaka with the dragon, this is clearly Apocrypha. The light standing at the edge, the singular thing binding the two sides, is this the tower? The tower at the edge of the world? That's what it's sounding like. Could be wrong about that one. But it says the light didn't. So I don't know what this one is. This one might be something else that I don't know. But then this makes it sound like she went to Garden of Sinners, which would be a relation because, Shiki, Void Shiki and the root, right? So, okay. That won't do. Leave that here so deeply. Your shining blue eyes gazed. Wow, we're going everywhere. Just after that, your consciousness and self arrived here, to this garden of darkness where I had gone to carry out a single mission. You arrived at this labyrinth, where a magecraft ritual from beyond this world was about to take place. No, it should be put more accurately. You dreamed exactly as you wished. Your dream, my reality. From 1991, a time I know nothing of and of a place I know just as little of, you, Seijio Manaka, descended into my body through my brain. So then my only question is, this has to just be a metaphor of a scene, right? Because she doesn't look like that. I think this art is just a metaphor because they didn't reveal that, yeah, you're in the other person's body. Okay, I think so. Ah, you're right. This isn't my face at all. In a room made of stone, Manaka looked into a small mirror and murmured to herself. Since I couldn't speak aloud or convey a clear message, oh my god, the narrator is literally, her body's on autopilot and all she can do is watch what's happening. That's kind of scary. Since I couldn't speak aloud or convey a clear message, all I could do was send a fragment of consciousness to express that I agreed. My body was entirely under Manaka's control. Well, that has to be why. Through my eyes, which were only Manaka's temporarily, what was reflected in the mirror was Manaka herself. To her, the mirror must have shown my face instead. So that's how it is. I'm not myself right now. She looked in the mirror, reaffirming the situation. She didn't seem surprised, but maybe she was, just a little. Manaka placed a hand on her cheek as if to check her facial features. I think we should talk, Master. She spoke from a short distance away. In contrast to Manaka staring into a mirror lost in thought, she remained vigilant, weapon in hand. Well, of course. This dimly lit room was also part of the labyrinth. It seemed unlikely to spawn monsters, unlike the corridor we were in just moments ago, but there was no telling what kind of traps might be lying in wait. It wouldn't be surprising if there were traps that could cause instant death to a human or severe damage to a heroic spirit, let alone a magus. Maybe this was the private room of a magus. It wasn't clear if it belonged to the entity which created the labyrinth, but the ritual performed at the weathered wood desk was definitely like a medieval magus, and was definitely... But the ritual was definitely like... See, okay. The ritual performed was definitely like... was definitely like... one performed by a medieval magus. Was definitely like one... let's see, the ritual was definitely... instead of like one... was definitely... similar to? Let's go with that. Definitely similar to one performed by a medieval magus, and one of the walls was lined with shelves. We'll go comma there. Crammed with catalysts and flasks. It's a bit like Paracelsus's room, was Manaka's impression of it. I'm just going to move that up there. Yeah. There we go. It's a bit like Paracelsus's room, was Manaka's impression of it. It didn't seem like I could interfere with her thoughts. Right. I want to talk too. Indeed. Huh. Oh. Because it says, okay, no, that's, okay, that's Manaka I want to talk to, and then Saber says indeed, right. Because I got distracted there. How did my current self, or rather my body, which had effectively become Manaka's, appear to the young heroine clad in sky silver armor? Did she see me as I was just moments ago, having performed the summoning and contract under the condition that we be limited to the labyrinth, or... Yeah, that's her, I guess, looking at herself. You seem to be affected by some sort of unique circumstance, Master. The moment I appeared in this realm, it seemed as though you transformed right before my eyes. Wait, what? Oh, so then what's the point of going into her body? Well, can I ask you something first? Manaka turned to face her. Very well. What do I look like to you? A girl in a dress. Okay, well, I see. So that's how it is. Right, I get it now. Manaka must have had the same thought as me. My body was now entirely that of Seiji Manaka without a doubt. Only Manaka herself could perceive my existence as its original owner. What the frick, so then what's the point of going into her body? Wow, this sucks for you. You just are a narrator, I guess. Only Manaka herself could perceive my existence as its original owner. That was why neither Saber nor I could see anything but Manaka when looking at my body. I think I get it now. Looks like I've fused with this girl. Huh? Naturally, a look of confusion formed in her eyes. Manaka's blunt statement wasn't incorrect, but it was a little difficult to grasp. I guess that's why everything feels so different from usual. I can't really use my magecraft either. Oh my god, wait, this is literally just to nerf her magecraft? Oh, well, that makes sense, because she would just complete everything with no issues, Miss I Can Do Anything, huh? Wow, they wrote in that's a nerf. Okay. As she spoke, she set the mirror down. With her right hand, she made a gesture like grabbing the air. I could see the light of magecraft sparkling at the tips of her white fingers. In under a second, a crystal about 10 centimeters in diameter formed in her palm. She created something from nothing. Anyone without a background in magecraft, even a renowned scientist, would have to interpret it that way. But that wasn't it. It was the crystallization of high-density magical energy, condensed from the mana in the atmosphere itself. I'm going to say well, crystallization's the action. That works, okay. It was something that would take even a seasoned magus several days to achieve, and she had done it like it was nothing. That, though I know little of magecraft, even I can see that it was a marvelous feat. Usually it'd be much, much larger. Manaka sounded disappointed. But there was something more in it, too. A hint of brightness, maybe? Yep. An adorable cheer. Not even an incantation, just a girl's small shout. She cast the spell by consuming the crystal formed in her hand. Directly above Manaka appeared a monster so enormous that it seemed as if it could touch the ceiling. Oh, that's not good. This is dangerous. If I'd been my regular self and saw it happen, this sight probably would have made me wet myself out of pure terror. A monstrous creature with an unimaginable form. It looked like a reptile and an insect blended into one creature. Whether it had an endoskeleton or an exoskeleton, its aura was unlike any creature that formally lives on Earth. A thing like that became almost entirely tangible out of thin air, and then vanished just as quickly. Evocation? Or maybe summoning magic? Or did she actually conjure some sort of demonic beast in an instant? Master, what was that? As you'd expect, she didn't flinch. Well, I was trying to create a little familiar, but those massive limbs. It looked incredibly powerful and brimming with magical energy. I'm impressed. But it only lasted a few seconds. It had the power of a lower-tier brand at best. Sorry for showing off something so lame. Truly, without any falsehood at all, Manaka blushed as if ashamed while she spoke. As if she were a delicate lady who lost her composure. She looked so apologetic that she might vanish entirely. Color ranks are granted only to magi that the Mages Association recognizes as the very best of the best, and yet she blushed and used it as a negative point. Manaka, what kind of power do you usually have? It was best that I didn't try to imagine it. It was surely far beyond my comprehension. Master, I can see that you're a powerful magus. In that case, I need not hesitate to reveal my true name. My class is Saber and my... King Arthur. Okay, that's kind of funny. That is kind of funny. Huh? The king who wielded the holy sword which shone like the stars. True name, Arthur Pendragon. Right? She had correctly guessed her true name, or casually, effortlessly. She had correctly guessed her true name, a servant's greatest secret. Even though she wasn't even summoned using a catalyst, Manaka managed to do it. Not because she saw through everything in the world like usual. No, even here, which was no more than a dream to her, even in this labyrinth where so many explorers and magi had lost their lives, she was still Seijo Manaka. That's why she knew. Even if her gender had changed, even if she was in another world, there was no doubt that she could mistake her beloved for anything else. Indeed, that is my name, though my true name is Artoria Pendragon. That's a beautiful name. Yes, I love it. Thank you. Caught off guard, she wavered, but her gaze regained its seriousness in an instant. On the surface, it is true that I was called King Arthur. That is certainly how I would be recorded in legends and history, but that is why I could never imagine that you would identify my true name just by looking at me, without even seeing my noble phantasm. Apologies for doubting you. Your noble phantasm is Excalibur? Correct. She gave a firm nod. Manaka smiled gently, watching her. Without a hint of regret, a hint of loneliness. Just like I thought. Like you thought? You, Saber, who wields the holy sword of a holy sword forged in the inner sea of the planet, are a girl in this world. You're cute and pretty, and I certainly don't dislike you, but you're not my Saber. Listen. Manaka spoke to the servant, whose lips had closed in confusion. A few words. That this was no more than a fleeting dream for her. That it surely must have been some sort of mistake. That this body originally belonged to someone else, namely me. That she would have to wake up from this dream soon and return to her own Saber. I couldn't tell if Saber understood all of it. If I were in her position, I probably would have concluded that this talented young magus had lost her mind, unable to endure the terror of the labyrinth. That's why it surprised me. What Saber said, nodding along to Manaka's explanation. I cannot fully say I understand, but such a situation is certainly possible within this labyrinth. Is that so? It is. Her reply was without hesitation, an unshakable conviction, and a resolute will lay behind it. So, Master, you must put an end to this labyrinth's subspecies Holy Grail War. So, there was a note where it's like this could be seen as subcategory, but other translations for like some of the other light novels use subspecies. So we're going to stick with that for continuity with that there. All right, here we go. A den of evil lying somewhere in the world. The infamous seventh labyrinth of Alcatraz, which devoured all those who entered. So Alcatraz in this case is not like the island. In fact, it implies that the Alcatraz prison that exists on this world was named after one of the dead apostle ancestors. His name is like, isn't it like Alcatraz or something? Which I just always remember Alcatraz, because of course Alcatraz is the name of, we know Alcatraz. Yeah, that's what this is here. There were countless dangers on every level. Phantasmal species, chimeras, automata, deadly traps and barriers. They were virtually endless. In the past, many explorers had dared to enter, yet not a single one had returned. Not only powerless humans either, even magi dispatched by the Mage Association had failed to conquer it. And now, on the lowest level of this labyrinth, someone had installed and activated one of the subspecies Holy Grails. Would we say subspecies Holy Grails? Or well, because subspecies is the type of it. It's okay. 4 servants were automatically summoned. Oh, 4. Oh, it's only 4? Okay. Myths, legends, folklore, history. Beings passed down through the ages. Heroic spirits with unparalleled magnificent power. Those 4 could do as they pleased. Oppose and kill one another. Fight and aid one another. All 4 aimed for a single location. The lowest level. The deepest, most hidden chamber where the subspecies Holy Grail lay in wait. They would obtain or destroy The subspecies Holy Grail. No, you know what? I will say, because I think subspecies does make sense, because like in Monster Hunter, if you run into a subspecies monster, then yeah, you would call it a subspecies monster, right? So that makes sense. I'm going to take a sip of my tea here. Grab some of this. I got to get used to reading on here again, because, hey, after this, we're going back to Strange Fake as well. Subspecies Holy Grail? Yes, replicas of the Greater Grail, the wish-granting device created by the Einsburn's third magic, or rather, false Holy Grails. It is by no means a true wish-granting device. Okay, so it's different from the counterfeit Holy Grail then, I guess. Manaka and Saber proceeded cautiously through the labyrinth. In the dim light, Saber remained constantly on guard against attacks from hostile entities. Manaka followed slightly behind her. Neither of them made a sound. Clad in metal armor formed from magical energy, Saber was certainly a heroic spirit beyond human comprehension. As for Manaka, I kept finding myself surprised by her. Was there anything that this girl, who seemed quite a bit younger than I was, couldn't do? Was there anything that this... Yeah, okay, that makes sense. No, at least in this situation, I could say with certainty that there wasn't. The truth was, Manaka didn't even know what the Labyrinth was. She had just asked Saber what a subspecies Holy Grail even was. Can a subspecies Holy Grail actually make a Holy Grail war? I'm not going to say make. I'm going to say initiate, right? That makes more sense there. Because making a Grail war, like, it makes sense. You're making it up, but I feel like it makes more sense to say it's like to initiate it, right? Because it's not just about you're not making something physical, you know? Yes, but the number of heroic spirits summoned won't be any greater than give. Won't be any greater than 5. In this subspecies Holy Grail war, there are only 4. So, we just have to beat them. No, Master. In a corner, she paused. Saber held up a faintly glowing ore, a catalyst she'd obtained in the previous room and imbued with Manaka's essence, like a lantern to check for traps up ahead. Though she apologetically told her that, a battlefield heroic spirit who had won countless battles, she wasn't particularly suited to this kind of reconnaissance. Though she had apologetically told her that, as a battlefield heroic spirit who won countless battles, okay, I see, she wasn't particularly skilled in this kind of reconnaissance, the task actually did seem to suit her. Speaking from my own experience, I would have said that mirrors would be useful at corners, but I was no more than a sliver of consciousness lingering in the corner of my body. I had no way to convey that advice to Manaka or Saber. The victory conditions for the subspecies Holy Grail War is to reach the room at the lowest, deepest part of the structure. Whoever finds and obtains the subspecies Holy Grail is the winner. And they get their wish granted? I cannot say. Saber shook her head. The subspecies Holy Grail is a counterfeit. Its function as a wish-granting device surely cannot compare to the true Holy Grail. I see, Manaka whispered in reply. The grand ambition of Magi to reach the spiral of the root would surely be impossible as well. As for the wishes of us heroic spirits who are summoned, I can only wonder to what extent they can be granted. There was a brief pause of hesitation. Perhaps because she feared that her words would bring disappointment. Well, I'm certain that was the case. The Manaka who is now trapped in my body had lost the abilities that were once second nature to her. More importantly, those eyes of hers which seemed to see through everything. I don't think your wish will come true. If you're the Saber I know, even in this form, you're still the same Saber, clinging to the same wish. What a coincidence, Manaka. I feel the same way. That's why... She paused for a moment. Then, Saber made a quiet declaration. Her voice echoed lightly through the cold stone passageway. I will destroy the subspecies Holy Grail. Yeah, I guess so. I thought it over and I agree, Saber. Did Manaka's voice reach her? Her resonance, like a delicate bell, was drowned out by a deafening roar. One sec. Okay, by a deafening roar, okay. I don't think it's enough to grant any wish, but even so, it has enough magical energy to bring a heroic spirit into this realm. It's also half-baked, and I hate that. So that she could be heard clearly, Manaka reached to speak directly into Saber's ear. I wonder if she could hear any of it. It didn't seem like she had the leeway to focus on it. Just past that next bend in the path, what appeared before them was a trap. A kind that tests a Tomb Raider, or rather, an explorer's skill in preventing it from triggering. Once activated, there was no escape. For an ordinary person, they would almost have certainly been crushed to death. I'd encountered traps like these firsthand several times. In other words, the thing that drowned out Manaka's voice with a deafening roar, large enough to fill the entire corridor, bearing down on us from the depths of the passageway, scraping at surrounding stone walls and cobblestones with a sickening roar, and yet so perfectly set up that its kinetic energy never faltered at all, was a giant boulder! Overwhelming mass and speed. Just imagining the kinetic energy it generated sent a chill down my spine. I'd heard that servants could withstand attacks of such mass that weren't imbued with magical energy, so it wouldn't be difficult to block. But Saber was still clearly in a panic, fleeing the approaching boulder. She ran with Manaka in her arms. Oh, I get it. It all makes sense now. Even if Saber were safe alone, her master Manaka wasn't. But at the very least, Saber had judged that she would not withstand the boulder. Manaka herself must have understood what would happen if her current self, within my body that was no different from that of any ordinary human, were crushed by the boulder. Maybe. Probably, but... Saber, can you hear me? No, Manaka, we cannot talk now. I did think that it was odd we started going uphill. That alone cannot explain the speed. Its acceleration must be aided by magecraft. Whoa, dead end up ahead, Saber. Look. I'm pushing through. If it catches up, we'll be squished flat. Was it just my imagination? Or did Manaka seem pretty cheery? In the end, the boulder didn't kill Manaka or my body. Saber, having kicked through the wall at the dead end, managed to regain her balance with Manaka in her arms. The boulder was shattered into pieces by a single strike from her invisible sword, wrapped in condensed wind. The countless fragments that flew towards us with lethal kinetic energy were mostly dealt with by the sword that Saber held in one hand. The few remaining shards were safely dispelled by a quick spell from Manaka. I wonder how long it's been since I've actually had to chant a spell. Manaka's voice was cheerful. Her voice was so endearing that one could forget that they were in a dimly lit labyrinth, which tormented all living creatures within it. I couldn't help being taken aback. And after a moment, I felt a wave of relief, an understanding along with it. There was no doubt. In a situation where I surely would have given up, crying out that I hated it, I wanted to go home, the girl named Seiji Manaka felt something entirely different. Having her power restricted, the fact that she didn't understand the situation or her surroundings. Manaka, Master, get behind me. The air in the passageway trembled. My vague train of thought was totally halted by Saber's voice. Next, through eyes that now belonged to Manaka, I took it all in. Manaka's gaze was fixed on an irregularity in the stone wall several meters past Saber. With a cracking sound, the wall of the passageway began to warp. Was it because Manaka inhabited my body that I could sense the magical energy so vividly? The wall was changing. Over 3 meters tall, a humanoid figure made of stone stretched almost to the ceiling of the corridor. A phantasmal species? No. A chimera? No. A stone golem left behind by the magus who created the labyrinth. An artificial guardian created through magecraft. I wasn't well versed in this field, but I was sure that it was like Kabbalah, a humanoid created by humans. Different from homunculi, which I don't think that's how you spell it. I don't think that's how you spell it, right? Homunculi? Because I love how the Type Moon Wiki comes up right away, right? It's hamun, yeah. Yeah. With a U. Different from homunculi, though I will say the other one might be the actual, traditional spelling, but that's okay. We're going with that. who were formed to almost look like humans. These were beings of magecraft specialized almost exclusively for combat, or carrying goods, as we use them for in FGO a lot. That was me taking a sip. It did look like I was just giving you the side-eye, though. Several memories came to mind. For explorers who raid ruins with ties to magecraft, this was an enemy that would have to be avoided at all costs. A supreme mechanism for eliminating intruders, an emotionless killing machine. Every fiber of my being tensed up on its own. In the farthest corner of the body Manaka controlled, I trembled. I'm scared. I'm so scared we can't handle this thing. No plea, no cry of despair would get through to her. Staring at us with its faceless head, it would crush us all. It's fine. Saber's here after all, Manaka whispered, as if speaking directly to me. I must have imagined it. Manaka can't read my thoughts or senses even if I was there. I was barely even hanging on. I'll destroy it, Manaka. Leaving behind those words alone, Saber vanished from sight. Swift. Too swift for me to process his visual information, and yet Manaka remained motionless, her gaze fixed straight ahead. Could she see her? Well, first there was noise, then a fierce wind. It took me a few seconds to realize that it was the after effect of a shockwave fired directly ahead. Before I knew it, the golem was split in two, cleaved right in half. The arm that had been raised to smash Saber crumbled. Wow. So this was how the top-ranked servant fought. I knew it. You really are Saber. You're so strong. We have more incoming. Saber reappeared as if replying to Manaka's quiet murmur. At almost the same time, a second and third golem transformed from the stone walls on either side of us, on either side of the passageway, activating as they appeared. 2 had to have been too much for us. 3, 4, 5. In the blink of an eye, an unimaginable number of these colossal figures flooded the corridor ahead of us. At this rate, no matter how formidable Saber was, she'd be overwhelmed by countless others for each she took down. We need to get out of this corridor. Before I could even get that thought out, Manaka's lips began to emit a sound like a melody. Simultaneously, she cast spells to increase Saber's strength and endurance. That wasn't all. Stone arms formed from the cobblestone itself grabbed the ankles of every golem rushing towards us and held them. It was like the snare magecraft I specialized in, but her magical energy and technique was on work. Because it's 2 things. Her magical energy and technique were on an entirely different level. Stone against stone. What do you think? With her cheery voice behind me, like a bullet, no, far faster than that, Saber's blade charged forth, cutting down all the colossal figures in a single stroke. I didn't know if my eyes had adjusted to the abnormally high-speed combat, or if Manaka's gaze had grown more accustomed to my body. Either way, I saw the sequence of attacks clearly. Such spectacular, beautiful swordplay. I'd never seen anything like it. At times, we cautiously traversed dimly lit corridors. At times, we encountered traps designed to kill monsters. Kill intruders. At times, we crushed monsters. Saber and Manaka advanced through the labyrinth without any setbacks. I couldn't help wondering if an expedition with just the 2 of them could really go as smoothly as it was, and that they truly weren't accustomed to being in perilous situations like this. But perhaps, on the contrary, that was exactly what worked in their favor. Or maybe it was just beginner's luck. No, it was the results of their innate talent, or maybe their exceptionally high baseline abilities. A few hours after they started their trek down the corridor, the 2 found a room free of traps and monsters. Walking so long really gets tiring, huh? I agree, Manaka. Rest is essential. Come to think of it, what time is it? Nighttime or morning? My sense of time tells me it's the middle of the night. Is that so? Thank you, Saber. This is all new to me. Manaka smiled, speaking softly. Would Saber grasp the true meaning of those words? I understood. To be precise, well, I had an assumption. I couldn't say that I really understood Manaka's thoughts, but I thought that it was likely. Time. Manaka had asked Saber to confirm the time. The Manaka I was aware of would never do that. She would be able to assess her surroundings and confirm it for herself. That was something Manaka was capable of. In fact, I'm pretty sure she She was always aware of it, but it was different now. Even her body, that shouldn't have been capable of fatigue, grew extremely tired after working for several hours. Her pace had slowed slightly. She maybe even felt pain in her ankles. Apologies, Manaka. This room is hardly suited for resting. It's okay. At this point, I think all of the rooms are made of stone anyway, so it doesn't matter. If only we had proper gear for exploration. Well, that was my fault. I had left my entire set of equipment near the Labyrinth's entrance. If I didn't panic when I saw the giant snake that looked like some kind of demonic beast, Manaka would have had a blanket to lie on instead of lying on the bare stone pavement or a hard stone chair. There was nothing I could do now. My mind wavered with guilt. Well, I'm not the only one who needs to rest, am I? Well, I know. You're Saber, after all. If you're the same as my Saber, then you'll need to rest too, and you need to replenish your energy, don't you? Apologies, Manaka. I should have informed you. What were they talking about? I had no idea. All I could do was try to figure it out from the situation and context clues. Or so I thought, but then Manaka began to do something strange. No, she was doing something pretty straightforward. It was the kind of thing that makes you go, oh, so that's what they're doing, but the strange part to me was, why? Form. A one-word incantation. Creating something tangible from an empty space. Projection magecraft. A metal tool appeared in Manaka's hand. Not a weapon, but a pot and frying pan? That which flows. Next, she used water elemental conversion magecraft. Water filled the projected pot to the brim. Then Manaka... Wow, oh my god, she's actually doing this. Then Manaka conjured fire. I have to finish cooking before it disappears, she said with a mischievous smile. Don't worry about the ingredients. I took some edible parts from the phantasmals and chimeras we fought on the way here. I assumed you would use them as catalysts. Wrong. Now you better pray it turns out good, Saber. Apologies, Manaka. I didn't understand your intentions. My Saber eats a whole lot. What about you? There was no doubting it. Water, fire, monster meat. Delicious. The tools. Manaka had begun cooking. Chimera fillet steak. Chimera offal stew. Killer rabbit. Tentative name, official name unknown. That's interesting. Grilled bone-in thigh meat. That was the menu. The main ingredients were all meat from the monsters they defeated over the past few hours. Moreover, she used the roots of a... Okay, it's not a Trent. It's not a Trent. Right? It is a... What's it called? It's a Treant, right? I just realized the sensory homunculus is on the page. I love the sensory homunculus. RPG monster it's a Treant, right? Yeah. Treant, yeah. I just want to check the spelling. Moreover, she used the roots of a Treant that she had found in the same room she had found the mirror, the room that seemed to belong to a Magus, as a vegetable substitute. That way, the stew actually looked like a proper stew with vegetables in it. As for seasonings, she mostly used salt. Rock salt. I'm glad we had salt at least. Salt? Yes, rock salt. I found it in that room too. It must have been a catalyst for some kind of ritual, or some kind of preservation spell. I'd heard the rock salt was often used as a catalyst in magecraft, but no way. No way, no way to use it like this as a seasoning made from... seasonings for a dish made from phantasmals and chimeras. Oh my god, yeah, there it is. Wow. Oh, this is good, because it's actually showing a bunch of events. This is just delicious in dungeon. I wonder how it tastes. I'd be glad to know it was good. Usually I know everything, but right now I know nothing. Usually I lock away some things and choose not to look at them. Maybe that's why the food turned out well. But I have nothing locked away now. It's strange. I don't know if the food is good or not. Wait. Who's speaking then? Oh no, is this Manaka then? Oh, this is Manaka now. I wonder how it tastes. I'd be glad to know it was good. Usually I know everything, but right now I know nothing. Usually I lock away some things and choose not to look at them. Maybe that's why the food turned out so well. But I have nothing locked away now. It's strange. I don't know if the food is good or not. Is it because of the subspecies Holy Grail War? Or is it my fault? I tried to sleep and ended up dozing off. In that case, I can't really complain. It was all my own carelessness, but right now, my Saber, my Arthur Pendragon, you, clad in blue and silver, stronger and more noble than anyone else, even though it's so lonely without you, so sad, even though it feels like tears might overflow from my eyes, even though it feels like my heart might burst. Still, I just slightly. Okay. Well. I'm enjoying this. It's just kind of like if this is literally just a whole thing of, hey, what if Manaka was nerfed in an RPG with Saber? Hell yeah, let's go. That just sounds like a nice time. So, yeah, I'm already kind of into this. It's kind of nice to just know this is just a one-off thing that we'll get through and be done, because then it just means like, damn, it's all gonna be in one pretty much. Thank you all for watching, guys. We'll be back next time with Act 2 as we move on for some more Fate Labyrinth. We'll see you then. Ciao. Yo.